Apes and apettes, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are having a great day and welcome to the greatest pump fake so far of 2022. The markets are up today because China's central bank cuts key lending rates, including one for the first time in nearly 2 years. As well as that, jobless claims jumped to 286,000, the highest levels since October. So not good headlines you are seeing, but the market is recovering today. It's like hot potato back and forth, but the biggest thing to know is that if you are an ape, you want the markets to sell off because that will drain the liquidity. That will bring us closer to the MOAS. But next week, that's going to be the important week because we have the Fed meeting, which this is going to be very, very important, January 25th and the 26th. And then we do have Apple earnings the 27th. And Apple has been carrying the markets because after all, they control about 12% of the market weighting. If they fall and the Fed scares people, that's when you're going to see the markets really start to sell off. So that's basically the scoop on that. I do also want to go over AMC Day pretty much tomorrow, how people are going to be buying stock. And I want to go over my thoughts on that, exactly what I am doing. And yes, a preview of that, I will be buying, I'm not sure how many shares, but I will do it live for you guys. So let's dive straight into this video. Hit that like button for me, consider subscribing to the channel, and comment down below. So let's just dive into it. And AMC is up 4.31% for the day. We've seen this monstrous rally with very high volume, all the way up to $20.16 per share. And this was almost up 10%. And then what do you know? We started getting shorted right back down, fell under $20 per share. We were selling off for a while, and now we are starting to bounce again, approaching that 5% positive mark. But it doesn't really matter what happens day to day. We're looking for those 4,000% weeks, right? To get up to $1,000 per share. Only way that happens if liquidity is actually drained. Imagine this. If a hedge fund has $100 billion of cash on the sidelines and they need $5 billion when the broker calls them up to service their margin call because AMC just went to $2,000 or $5,000, they're going to say, yeah, take that $5 billion. That's 5% of their cash. They can do it without that. Say they only have $50 billion now because the markets just sold off substantially and they've just lost a lot of money. That same $5 billion margin call is going to get met with a different response because they have less money. They're going to say, we probably should cover on our short positions and cover them. So that's the logic behind that. As far as some interesting things that are happening today, you could see that AMC has about 6.9 million shares available to be borrowed and to be sold short. This was just over 7 million. So you're definitely seeing a lot of shorting that is going on today. And there's still a lot of, shares that are left available to be sold short. So odds are we're just going to keep seeing these shorting attacks until we do see the markets substantially sell off. As far as the option chain, we're looking at 50,000 calls that are in the money, 718,000 calls that are out of the money. On the put side, 152,000 puts that are in the money, out of the money puts at 266,000. Now, let's talk about AMC Day, all of this buying power that people are going to be putting into the markets by buying stock tomorrow. If I'm correct, it's around 3:30 p.m. Now, I'm not saying you guys should buy the stock. I am personally going to, and I want to live stream that for you guys when I do that. I don't know if it'll be exactly 3:30. When I live stream and buy stock, it might be 2 o'clock or, 1 o'clock. Not exactly sure the timing on that, but if you're subscribed to this channel, you will see that happen live. Now, there's a couple things to keep in mind. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. Number one, I'm not telling you guys to do this or that because that would technically be a pump and dump scheme if the stock comes back down. But either way, that's a pump scheme and that is illegal. So I'm not going to be the one to tell you guys directly to do that. But if you wanted to, what is going to happen if a lot of people buy AMC stock? Well, it's going to be pretty easy to see if there's blatant manipulation going on. Why do I say that? Because the volume has been pretty low. Now, imagine if 1 million apes buy 10 shares or even, 500,000 apes buy 20 shares. That's going to be 10 million for volume. So if we don't have a higher than average volume day, like by a substantial amount, then something really bad is going on. They're, internalizing a lot of our orders in the dark pool more than we even do realize. So I think at worst, this is going to be a really good experiment to see what the volume looks like, to see if that is actually reflected to us on the open market, to get a gauge of what is going on behind the scenes. But on top of that, I think it could drive the price of the stock up in the short term. Those gains will likely be eaten away next week as the Fed does start to come out, likely scare the markets, even possibly with a surprise rate hike could crush the markets. And then you have Apple earnings the day after that, January 27th. So when you think about it like that, it would be very short-lived, but I think it would help the overall cause. Since it's like less than $200, whoever did this would be spending on stock. But don't expect it to cause the MOAS. I think a lot of people are like thinking it's going to cause the MOAS. It's not going to cause the MOAS. I don't know how high the stock would go. Maybe 5 or 10% would be my estimate if this actually does happen and we don't see a lot of manipulation. But that's really my thoughts on that. I just want everybody to know exactly what to expect, that the gains would likely be eaten away next week, unless the Fed comes out and they're super dovish. They're saying, yeah, we're not really worried about raising rates right now or inflation or anything like that. That could definitely be a positive thing for AMC as well, at least in the short or near term. As far as what is going on in the world today, so jobless claims, like I said, jumped 286,000, the highest level since October. This is not good. Continuing claims also rose, jumping to 1.64 million. So at the same time, the Fed is starting to tighten, possibly at a very fast rate. You're also seeing inflation very high and company earnings that are likely to start lagging and dropping year over year like we're seeing with the banks. And you're seeing the jobless claims rising. So all of these things don't work together very well. Hopefully you're picking up what I'm putting down, because this is not a good situation that we are setting us up for. Now, it's good for the MOAS in the long term. It's not good for the price of the stock in the short term, and especially next week. As far as this from China, which is very interesting, I actually made a video about this. The Chinese central bank cuts key lending rates, including one for the first time in nearly 2 years. They took the 1-year loan prime rate to 3.7%. It was at 3.8%. And then also the 5-year loan prime rate was reduced by 5 basis points from 4.65% to 4.6%, the first cut since April 2020 at the height of the coronavirus pandemic in the country. So this is a slight good thing in the near term. It's going to cause a lot of optimism like we're seeing today, because money just became a little bit cheaper to get your hands on over in China. The negative to this is that this is highlighting the growth of the Chinese economy is severely starting to slow down. And it's likely that we get a lot more cuts to these rates, and eventually markets are going to say, hey, why are you guys cutting so fast and so aggressively? What is really going on in China? Are you close to seeing a bunch of defaults? What is going on? Hopefully that makes some sense as well. It's not a good thing in the grand scope of the markets and what is going on. As far as the max pain, that's looking at $21 for tomorrow. So, I mean, if we do all buy a lot of stock, that could definitely push us. $21 is not off the table. And I mean, that would be about a 10% move from where we are currently at right now. So that'll be interesting to see how that does play out. As far as the Ortex data, you're looking at 19.95% short interest of free float, 102.37 million shares that are sold short. Cost to borrow is staying pretty much the same. Borrowed change of 627.93 thousand. So that's, saying that's roughly how many shares were sold short today, or at least borrowed. The share utilization is at 72.44%. Days to cover at 2.57, so still looking really good right here. Shorts would have a very hard time covering on their short positions if they did need to. So all in all, tomorrow is going to be very interesting at the very least to see on this experiment of if our buying power or our increased above average buying power going into the stock will actually be reflected on the open markets. And if tomorrow's a good day in the markets as well, it would not surprise me if AMC is up even 10 or 20% if our orders are going to the lit exchanges. If you have the availability to buy shares on public, that's what I would do, and that's what I'm personally doing, because all of their orders go straight to the lit exchanges, and there's no chance of them getting internalized by a market maker and basically bought or sold in the dark pool. So that's the scoop on the situation. That is really the intraday data that you guys need to know. Very, very exciting, but still keep in mind, whatever happens tomorrow, it's not going to matter once it comes down to next week. The Fed meeting and Apple earnings are going to move the markets, and moving the markets is going to move AMC as well. So hit that like button for me, consider subscribing to the channel, and let me know what you think about this down below in the comment section. How many shares are you buying tomorrow? Let me know that information. If you guys also want access to all of my trades in real time, link for that in the pinned comment down below, as well as the link for my Twitter account. Go ahead, follow me over on that. That is free 99. And if you guys want to sign up for public, it only takes a second, and you guys can actually link your bank account in the app. Check that out. Also link down below in the description of this video. Link for Weeble and Moo as well down there. Love and appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.